Okay, so we'll continue. So this is the second feature of Java, that is robust. Next, we will move to the third feature of Java, that is multi-threaded. Okay. See, when we speak about Java language, the two features of Java, each feature we can consider like one program, one chapter actually. Exception handling is one chapter, multi-threaded programming is another chapter. Okay, fine. Multi-threaded programming means writing programs which do many things simultaneously. Here we will just look at the theoretical part. In chapter, we will go in depth how to write the programs for this. Java runtime system solution give solution for multi-process synchronization means doing many things at the same time. So thread means it is a part of the program, okay, or we can say small program. So many multi-threads means many programs. So or many parts of the program which works simultaneously. In that chapter we will see in detail. Next comes the architectural neutral. Okay. Uh, See here, the thing is, I think sometimes you people might face some problems while installing softwares and all. That is, in one system it will install, and in another system it will not install, or in one mobile it will install, in another mobile it will not install. Because, see, there are some things what we have to remember in technology. That is, a processor, uh, OS used, okay, or in the core system if it has some problem or if it is any changes, those things we have to remember. So when it comes to Java, what happens, like Java or any language, no guarantee exists. If you write program today, it will run tomorrow, even on the same machine, because of the reasons such as OS upgrades. Sometimes what happens if OS is upgraded, like if it is 30, if it is updated from 32-bit operating system to 64-bit operating system, some softwares may not install. Same software may not install. See, in case of C++ also, like one version of C++ software will not install for 32-bit, but it will install for 64-bit. Another version of C++ software will install for 64-bit, but it will not install for 32-bit. So those are the reasons. That is OS upgrades, processor upgrades, okay, changes in the core system resources. So JVM, Java Virtual Machine, handles this situation. So handles this situation means, again, the author is telling to some extent this goal was achieved, because if you look at the technology, see, we cannot achieve everything as we people are facing. Like some apps may not get installed in some, that is in mobiles and all. We are facing some problems. That means this goal will be achieved to some extent. To some extent means almost 75-80% we can say. Okay, the goal was write once, run anywhere, anytime, forever. Okay, so when we write a Java program, if it executes in Windows OS, it should execute in Linux also. It should execute in Mac OS also, like that. Okay, so this is called as architecture neutral. Okay, next comes the distributed. So distributed is one of the feature of Java language. So we will see what it is. Okay. Java is designed for distributed environment for internet protocols. Java handles TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. Okay, protocols. So it is said that it handles distributed environment of the internet. Original version of Java OAK. See, Java initially it was called as OAK language. Okay, OAK, or we can say OAK, included intra-address space messaging. This allowed objects on two different computers to execute procedures remotely. This method is called as RMI, remote method invocation. So this concept comes in advanced Java, because in Java we have many versions. So here I will tell you in the further topic. I will tell you what are the versions of Java. So in advanced Java we come across RMI, remote method invocation. Java is a vast language. We have 3 versions of Java, and even in each version we have many chapters. Okay, if I'm not wrong, like in book complete reference Java, I think it has 1024 pages, 1024 pages, or 1200 pages. Some pages are there about 1000. So that is only for core Java. And again, if you go for enterprise edition of Java, that is advanced Java, again we may come across like 1000 pages of book. Okay, so it is a vast language. So in the advanced Java, we come across the remote method invocation. RMI is a package. See here the word package. So packages is one chapter in Java again. So packages, exception handling, multi-threaded programming, these are the chapters of Java. So there we will see in detail. So RMI feature brings the concept of client server programming. See, when we look at the concept of web programming, that is website development. So we have to learn the concept of client server programming. Okay. So now we will see versions of Java. After that, applications of Java. Okay. See, versions of Java. Java 1.0, that is first version of Java. Okay, next Java 1.1. So added many new library elements, reconfigured many features of 1.0. Java 2, it was a major release. Now, whatever we use Java, it is called as Java 2 only. So they called it as Java 1.2, added new features of Java such as strings and collection framework. So again, these things comes under advanced Java, where they have added the concept of strings and collections. Next release of Java 2 was 1.3. Next release of Java 2 was 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, like that. So it moves. Coming to the applications of Java. Okay. So this topic is very important because we should know how many types of Java language are there. Like if I want to develop one application software by using Java language, then which version of Java we have to consider? Which version in the sense, which type of Java we have to consider? See, we have three things. J2SC, I said Java 2 means J2 it is, J2SC, J2 EE, J2ME. So I will tell the full form also. Java 2 standard edition it is. Okay, Java, J stands for Java, Java 2 standard edition, Java 2 enterprise edition. Okay, Java 2 enterprise edition, Java 2 micro edition, or it is also called mobile edition. So which is used to develop mobile applications. Okay, so standard edition, enterprise edition, mobile edition. Okay. So first version, that is first type, standard edition, it is used to develop standalone applications, or it is also called as desktop applications. So whenever we want to develop desktop applications or standalone applications, that means which is not a part of website development, we can use this first version, Java to SC. So whatever the things we discuss in this entire course, so we are discussing about J2SC only. It is also called as core Java. Core means center part of Java. Without learning J2SC, we cannot move to J2EE because the concepts which are present in J2SC, all the concepts we are using J2EE. In addition to that, some more new concepts we are using. Okay. So enterprise edition use it for web programming. So use it for website development. By using Java language also we can develop the websites. So that is called as web programming. So we have to use enterprise edition of Java. Then micro edition or mobile edition of Java, we should use this type of Java for developing mobile applications. So we have to know these things. That is which type of Java languages are used for which applications. Okay, so this is all about introduction to Java. Okay, so before I move to the next part of Java, that is next chapter, so I'll wait for a minute. If you have any doubts you can ask just for a minute. Let us take relax. Okay. Okay, so we will move to the next chapter, that is overview of Java. So introduction to Java, I think I have completed, I think a little bit fast because in some cases we have to move a little bit fast, but in some cases we will move slowly. So as people come to know in the programs part, even sometimes what happens like one program may take full day, that is full 40 minutes it may take. So much of theoretical concept is required in that program. Okay. So next chapter is overview of Java. So after the completion of class, I will send the notes also. Okay. That is introduction to Java notes plus whatever it is covered in the particular class. Okay. So we will move to this chapter. Okay. See, before we are moving in depth of object-oriented programming, they are telling about the main difference between procedure-oriented and object-oriented programming. That is, the main difference between procedure-oriented and object-oriented programming is in procedure-oriented, the concept is code acting on data, and in object-oriented programming, concept is data controlling access to code. See, these two wordings looks simple, but there are more things to understand about this. So let me explain in detail. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. See, a little bit I will go with the definition of computer. Okay, so computer is an electronic machine. Okay, so that accepts input data. Okay, so further it is there, but let us stop here. Computer is an electronic machine that accepts input data. See, after accepting input data, what it does, it accepts input data, process it, right? Process it and gives the result. Okay, let me consider this simple definition. Gives the result. Okay. See, now look at this first part of the definition. Computer is an electronic machine that accepts input data. From where we are getting this input data? From where computer is getting input data? That's the question here. Okay. See, whenever we talk about data, so data refers to real world. Remember, data refers to real world. Then, next part of the definition is it process it. Process in the sense whenever we supply data to the computer, something it will do. Okay, if you type from the keyboard or if you do any calculations, also some process will be going on. So that process is nothing but we can consider some task. That task is done by the software, because if software is not present in entire computer system, only hardware, it is of no use. Computer hardware without software is no use. Just best example, if I want to give, human body without signals from the brain, it is no use. Just like coma stage. Okay, so if human body is the entire thing is if hardware, signals from the brain are software. We can think like that. Okay, human body, if you consider any part of the body, it is in hardware. So when I asked this question for the students, they said brain is the software. No, brain is not at all a software. Even heart is not a software. Okay, it is all hardware only. Software means which we cannot see, but effect will be real. We will get the result out of the software, but we cannot see. Like signals from the brain, feelings from the heart. These are the software part. Okay. Now, if you consider the definition of computer, computer is an electronic machine that accepts input data, process it. See, processing in this sense, doing some work. So how it will do? If the software is there, it will do the work. If the software is not there, it will not do the work. That software we can consider like code. Okay. See, data refers to real world, whereas code refers to computer world. So we can consider two worlds here. That is data, real world and computer world. Okay. So when we supply the data, we are supplying from real world, and computer does the process. Okay, that is nothing but computer world. It is nothing but the code. Now, when we consider the code of the software, softwares are developed by using programming languages. So that we know. Okay, softwares are developed by using programming languages. Okay. When we say about programming languages, again, programming languages use the concept of either procedure oriented, okay, or object oriented. Programming languages use the concept of procedure oriented or object oriented. Okay. So when it comes to the procedure oriented, see what they are telling here. The main difference between procedure oriented and object oriented programming is in procedure oriented, the concept is code acting on data. See, from the definition of computer only, we are getting two things here, code and data. Code means what? Software. Data means which refers to real world. Whether you consider code acting on data or data controlling access to code, in both the cases we have the real world and computer world. Real world is nothing but we are talking about data. Computer world is nothing but we are talking about the code. See, when you consider procedure oriented, if I tell code acting on data means what? Code acting on data means data is dependent on code. So if you just try to understand the sentence, code acting on data means data is dependent on the code. That means whenever we are supplying input data for the program which is developed by using procedure oriented, we have to think about the code. Then we can view the data. Okay, so code acting on data means data is dependent on the code. That is, real world is dependent on computer world. So if we are supplying data for the computer, first we have to see what software they have written, what program they have written, which method they have used, whether they are using procedure oriented or object oriented. If they have used procedure oriented, then data will be dependent on the software. Data depends on the code. Code acting on data is nothing but data dependent on the code. But in object-oriented programming, data controlling access to code. Data controlling access means data is controlling the code. Data is controlling the code means what? Code is dependent on the data. It is the reverse. In case of procedure-oriented, data will be dependent on the code. In case of object-oriented, code will be dependent on the data. That is, whatever the software is developed, softwares are developed by taking main focus on the data, by taking main focus on the real world. So here just try to understand, code is computer world, that is software, data is real world. Okay, if I say code acting on data, data is dependent on the code, that is real world is dependent on the computer world. If I say data controlling access to code means data is accessing, data controlling the code. Here data controlling the code means what? Code is dependent on the data. So when we consider the programs in procedure oriented and object oriented, see, main objective is to develop the software and which should do some task for users. Okay, whether you write the programs in procedure oriented or object oriented, it should do some task and it should do some favor to the users. That is okay, but what we have to understand is, in procedure oriented, what is our main focus, and in object oriented, what is our main focus. See, in procedure oriented, okay, in procedure oriented, main focus, you just try to understand, main focus is on code rather than data. Okay, is on code means is on writing the program rather than concentrating on the real world. What type of data is given by the user, we are not concentrating more on, but we are concentrating, our main focus will be on developing the software. But in object oriented, if I consider object oriented, what happens? Okay, so in object-oriented, main focus is on data. One who writes the program by using object-oriented programming language. So main focus should be on real world. So what type of data it is supplied for the program, that we have to see first, then we have to write the code. Okay. See, it doesn't mean that if I say main focus is on code rather than the data, here it doesn't mean that data is waste here. Okay, data is useless. And if I say main focus is on data rather than the code, and we can say writing code is not necessary, or we can say, we cannot say like code is waste. Both are important, but you see, what will be the main focus? Main focus is on code rather than the data in case of procedure oriented. In object oriented, main focus will be on the data rather than the code in case of object oriented programming. Okay, so by remembering these two concepts, we have to read object oriented programming. So now let us remember this one, main focus is on data rather than the code. Now in the further topics, I will elaborate about the data part, okay, and even code part also. So by remembering this sentence, we will read all the object oriented concept which we come across in Java language. Okay, fine. So now, so we'll stop the class for today. So we'll continue tomorrow. So before that, if you have any doubts, you can ask.